Welcome to Current Situation, your Palmetto State political pulse. Every episode, our goal is to help you navigate the complex world of politics through biblically conservative perspectives. Before we jump into today's conversation, we want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Vertice Elevation, luxury floating stairs. Engineered to elevate, crafted to inspire. Vertice Elevation designs and builds custom luxury floating staircases that seamlessly fuse architectural artistry with structural precision. Their mission is to elevate modern spaces through timeless design, exceptional craftsmanship, and engineering excellence. Do yourself a favor and visit verticeelevation.com to see firsthand the incredible luxury floating staircases. I'm your host, Joshua Gale, and today we're breaking down three major developments from the State House that are making waves: taxpayer funding for abortion providers, immigration enforcement in action, and the surprising contents of the state budget. Let's get into it. We begin with a major win for pro-life advocates. The U.S. Supreme Court has upheld South Carolina's right to withhold taxpayer dollars from abortion providers. The ruling is being celebrated by legislators who've worked for years to block public funding from flowing to organizations like Planned Parenthood, especially those involved in controversial practices such as prescribing hormone therapies to minors. One state lawmaker who's been at the forefront of this effort is Representative Josiah Magnuson, who's long pushed to keep taxpayer money out of the hands of what he calls abortion mills. But while this court decision is seen as a step forward, the battle is far from over. South Carolina still sees thousands of elective abortions each year, over 40 every week. And despite the SCOTUS ruling, elective abortions may still be paid for through the state employee health plan. Efforts to cut that funding have stalled. Budget amendments and bills designed to protect unborn life were introduced but never made it to the floor for a vote. In fact, many Republican lawmakers voted against even debating those measures, some going as far as to publicly criticize colleagues who stood for those pro-life amendments. Advocates say the ruling should energize continued efforts to align state spending with the Republican Party's platform, which affirms that life begins at conception. Now on to immigration. With the southern border crisis growing, many South Carolinians are wondering why isn't the state doing more. A slate of bills aimed at strengthening immigration enforcement was introduced this year. Proposals that would have required law enforcement to coordinate with ICE, verified citizenship during arrest, and penalized criminal aliens with felony charges, and even enforce ID requirements for school enrollment. Among them was H3030, which would have expanded ICE partnerships across all counties. H3299 aimed to document and report the immigration status of arrested individuals. H4282 sought to make a felony to commit crimes while unlawfully present in the United States. H3866 required government-issued ID for public school enrollment. And finally, H4548, introduced in the final days, would have extended the debate into the legislative off-season. Despite public concern for legislative sponsorship, not one of these bills advanced. Why? It wasn't opposition from Democrats. According to insiders, it was Republican House leadership that declined to prioritize or even allow for debate on these proposals. Critics argued that while leadership was swift to approve corporate incentives and pork-laden budgets, they failed to act on laws that would help protect communities, uphold federal immigration standards, and preserve taxpayer-funded resources. As lawmakers prepare to return in January 2026, advocates are urging constituents to make their voices heard. Their message: South Carolina doesn't have to wait on Washington to protect its borders and its families. And finally, controversy is brewing over the newly passed state budget, especially a provision that many conservatives call out of touch with South Carolina values. Buried in the budget is Proviso 6528. A line item that requires the Department of Corrections to continue providing hormone therapy to inmates who were receiving it prior to incarceration. Opponents say that the state is effectively subsidizing gender transitions for convicted criminals. The issue hit close to home when recently a North Charleston woman identified as a biological female on hormone therapy to appear as a male was arrested in a disturbing child exploitation case. To some lawmakers, this only underscores the urgent need to protect children from both exploitation and what they see as state-sanctioned gender ideology. Bills to strengthen penalties against child predators have been repeatedly introduced but have not been moved forward by the House leadership. That lack of urgency, critics say, is part of the broader pattern, one where common sense protections for children are shelved while progressive priorities remain quietly funded. This budget fight wasn't just about dollars, it was about direction. And for some lawmakers, the final product reflected a broken set of priorities that no longer reflect the values of the voters they serve.